We thank you that we can be able to come to this place, that we can be able to gather in a time for worship, that we can be able to free ourselves from everything that's going on in our lives and the world, be able to focus this time, dedicate it towards only you, God. I pray that you'll help us in times that we're struggling with all the crazy things that are going on in our lives and in this world. Even times that we're struggling with our faith itself, Lord. I pray that you will comfort us, that you will reassure us and continue to give us the evidences that we need, the people that we need around us that can be able to help and give us a hand when we need it. I pray that you will help us, that we can be able to be that necessary lending hand to somebody else, be able to share your love, that we can be able to reach out into our communities, our neighborhoods, our city, this whole world, be able to let the whole world know that your love is there, that you have a purpose and a plan for each of us. And I pray, God, that you will help us to be able to fulfill that purpose, and we can be able to honor you with our whole lives. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Go ahead and grab a seat, guys. Welcome. Man, you picked a wonderful Sunday to come. I mean, any Sunday is a good Sunday, but every now and then we do something that we've never done before, and you guys get to be the first ones to experience, and this is one of those Sundays. Today you're going to have the wonderful opportunity of meeting and getting to know an organization that's right here inside of Maricopa County, and the organization is called BACA, which is Bikers Against Child Abuse. And, for me and my story with BACA, I heard about the organization through a good friend of mine who told me a little bit about the vision and what they were all about. And I started to look into the organization a little bit more, learning about what they do and how they reach out and how they help kids. And as I was learning more about them, I was reminded about one of my favorite verses from the Old Testament. In fact, it's a verse that's really, really close to my heart. It's one that probably you've heard before. It's from the book of Micah, chapter 6, verse 8. And Micah 6, verse 8 says this: "He has shown you, O mortal, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God." Maybe I loved it because it was so simple. I remember when I first read it, I read it in another translation, and it was translated as this: "What does the Lord require of you? To do justice." I remember reading that and was like, yes, I get it. I understand. To do justice, to stand for those that maybe can't stand for themselves, to be a voice for the voiceless. And I just grabbed a hold of that. And when I first learned of BACA, I said, man, this is an organization that is doing just that. A voice for the voiceless. Those who bring courage into the lives of those that have been abused. And when I started reaching out, I actually came in contact with an individual by the name of Nytro. And I got to learn a lot about Nytro, and in fact, Nytro is here to share with us today. Nytro is the longest standing member with the Phoenix BACA chapter and the current events coordinator. She has a passion for the organization, a love for the victims of abuse, and a desire to let the world know about the work of BACA. Will you guys please stand to your feet and give a good place welcome to Nytro as she makes her way up. All right, you guys can be seated. This is Nytro's third time, so she's a pro now. We've had a great time today, and I mean the conversations I've had with people, and I'm sure that you have too, have just been really encouraging.
Absolutely.
Just people learning about this organization. And when I first reached out to Nytro, in one of our first conversations, she said, being bikers against child abuse, a lot of people have different thoughts about who we are, what we do, what we stand for. And when I first talked to her, she said, that there were 4 things that she wanted me to know. These are the first thing that we talked about in our conversation. She said, I need you to know who we are, who we aren't, what we do, and what we don't do. And so I thought it was really good to allow Nytro to start our conversation today, sort of looking at those 4 things. So it's all on you, Nytro.
Well, good morning, and I'll tell you, the 11:15 church, that's me. I don't get up that early. So I thank you guys for being here. This has just been, Brooklyn and I are over there kind of giggling back and forth because we're still girls in heart because, you know, we were so tired because we've done 2 events this weekend, and we went to bed about 2 o'clock in the morning, and 5 o'clock came early having to be up here. And, you know, I do believe that when things are meant to be, they're meant to be. And it's just been a real blessing to be here. Who we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization that is international. We're in 7 countries. We have 161 chapters in 39 states here. We have 23 more countries that are in a forming effort, so people are finally getting it. When I first started, I couldn't get people to even stop and talk to me. And a lot of it is because of that image. And you know what? It's okay. It's okay, because you're going to come around again, and you're going to come around again, and eventually you're going to talk to me, because I am going to talk to you. You know, I am very passionate, as well as my brothers and sisters in this organization. This is not a me thing, this is a we thing. And when I'm passionate about something, I do want to share, you know, who we are. What we're not is a motorcycle club. We are not a gang. But let me tell you something, those motorcycle clubs, it's them that have made this work for us, and I thank them for that. I might not have liked everything they did, but, you know, I don't like everything the government does either, but, you know, that's another story. You know, so we want people to understand that, you know, we're parents, we're grandparents, we're homeowners, we're business owners, we pay taxes, we come from all walks of life. We work with local law enforcement and state officials. What we don't do is we do not go after the perps, the perpetrators, the abusers. That is not our focus. Our focus is strictly on the kids. We don't even, you know, if the parents of the abused child or the caretaker, whoever wants to start talking about how they're feeling, we literally have to say stop. We will refer you somewhere, but we are not here for you. I know it sounds awful, but if you've read what CPS has done to over 15,000 cases, and God knows there's so many more out there, that their kids are slipping through the cracks. I always say they're our future Americans, and if we don't do anything, what does that say about our future, and what does that say about us today? You know, we need to all stand up. They need all of us. We are a tool in this process, and we need everybody to understand that.
Yes. And you know what? I mean, if you're involved in an organization like Bikers Against Child Abuse, it's because that's close to your heart. And that was one thing with Nytro, of really being close to her heart and really a part of her story. You want to share a little bit about that?
I grew up with some severe abuse. Sometimes it's hard to talk about. It's always going to stay in the back of my mind. I try real hard to move on. This organization has helped me move on, but it's also put me back sometimes. You know, when I see other kids that have gone through, I'll look at a child and go, my God, that's me. You know, that was me. You know, what do I do? My mother was my abuser, but, you know, I have to think about what she went through in her life, and I'm trying so hard for forgiveness, and she tries so hard without actually saying I'm sorry. She does everything that she can to help me out. So I have to stand there and allow her to come back in, because she was hurt herself. But in and out of foster homes, through the system, which has not changed. They need to look up that word in the dictionary. It's supposed to be something that works, and it has not worked. And, you know, and I went the wrong way. I went to drinking and drugging. I didn't care. I just wanted the hurt to stop, and that's, at that time, helped it to stop for a while, but then I wasn't living. And, you know, I had children of my own, and my son told me 27 years ago, he says, Mom, you broke the chains of child abuse, and how ironic I find a group, you know, that has that motto, I'm home. I know I'm home with this organization. It's the best job I've ever had that I don't get paid for. And my payday is right here.
And you shared a little bit last service about how you personally came to find out about BACA.
Yes.
Can you tell that story?
I was with another group, a writing group of friends, the Arizona Stray Feathers, and we were always doing stuff for the Semper Fi, because our servicemen and women and animals and children are passionate of mine. And I'm standing there, and this guy was there the whole entire time. I never saw his back patch, never. You know, and I was talking to a friend of mine towards the end, and something said, turn your head. And I turned my head and did a double take, and I saw the back patch, and I went, wait a minute. Our conversation was done. I ran right out there. I said, what is this? He gives me a pamphlet, and he told me where to go, and I've been going ever since. And that's usually the first time anybody tells me where to go. I actually listened, I can't tell you that this is one of the most amazing organizations that I have ever been a part of.
And at the heartbeat of anyone even wanting to learn more about BACA really is the kids. And when we started talking, the kids came right to the forefront of our conversation. In fact, there were a couple stories that Nytro was part of, and she said, these are really, really important in my journey and my story at BACA. Can you share those with us?
There's so many stories, and I've been involved about 6.5 years now, and probably about 6 years ago, all of them touch you, but there's always that one that hits you the most, and it stays with you, because all you do is envision that child's face and the sadness that they have. We had one little boy that when we came into his life, this kid was just, he has some developmental delays because of his abuse. But he was a little chunky kid, and he was with a good family now, and he was happy, but he still had to go to court, and he had to testify. Before we went to court with him, we went to a big gala fair through Child Help, and I bless them for everything that they do too. We were invited to go, and they were telling his story, and we got up on stage because they were talking about us too and what we did for him, and they showed a picture of him. Sorry.
That's all right.
Sorry. They showed a picture of him when they found him. He was in a foster home that adopted him. And thank you. And what they did to him was they put him in a dog cage in the kitchen, and they starved him while they sat there and ate in front of him. What he looked like, I didn't recognize him. There was nothing to him, and because of that is what causes developmental delay. But to see him today, it's been beautiful. His therapist tried to talk to him for 9 months to get him to talk about his story, and he wouldn't say anything. He was terrified. He just wanted to forget it, which most kids do. When we got involved, within 3 weeks, his therapist said she couldn't shut him up. That's all it did was talk about it. It's empowerment is what we want these kids to know, that not to be afraid of the world in which you live. You don't need to be. If somebody hurts you, you have a right to stand up, and you keep going until you find somebody that will stand up with you, and that's what BACA does.
And there's lots of different things that they do to stand with kids. And one of the stories that we talked about was oftentimes if a child's been abused, one of the problems they have really is sleeping at night. They're worried that someone's going to come. They're oftentimes harassed by maybe their abuser or the family of the abuser. And so BACA does a really interesting thing to help those kids. Tell them a little bit about that.
We call it our level 2. If a child is frightened or they're having nightmares and they can't sleep at night, or even in their room, a lot of times they won't even go in their room. They're afraid that their perp's going to come through their room. And a lot of times the family members of these people that hurt them will go by the house and try to harass them and then bang on the door and scream and yell and stuff like that. We had one guy threw a Molotov cocktail at the house, blew up the car. The car was parked in the driveway, and the little girl slept above the garage. Thank God she wasn't hurt. But we do what we call level 2 is we go to the home and we camp out on their lawn. If it's 1 day, 7 days, 30 days, around the clock. We take shifts. My brothers and sisters take sick time. They take their vacation time, personal days, whatever it is. And for that kind of commitment, they've worked for these vacation times. They've worked for these days. And we just do around the clock until that threat is gone. And that child gets up in the middle of the night and they look outside and they see us there and they start to feel safer and safer. And we do perimeter searches to make sure nobody else is trying to get in there. If they're crazy enough to come to the house while we're there, it is what it is.
That's for another venue to talk about. All right. Now, you said level 2. Tell them a little bit about the different levels. I think there's 4 levels for the kids.
Absolutely. First, we do an intake, and our president, who happens to, he's Rembrandt. He happens to be my husband, the guy that didn't want to get involved. He's not a child person, and but he got involved because you have to have a motorcycle or access to a motorcycle, and he was my access, and he went to the first level 1. He is now the chapter president and the state president. I got it. And our vice president, Uno, who is the second longest member of our organization, and our child liaison, Smiles. They will go and do an intake and make sure it's a legitimate case, because we do get people that call up and, I'm going through a divorce. Can you come over and beat up my husband? We don't do that, we don't do that. If he's being a jerk, we'd like to, but like I said, we don't do that. So once we find it's a legitimate case, then the whole crew goes. Anybody that has cleared their background check and your patches go. I think last Sunday was 57 bikes and 80-something people, and the children see this power that is coming to them, coming up around the corner, and as we're parking, they're still coming around the street, and they're like, my God, they don't even know when it's going to end. Half the time we don't either, but it just a look on their face when they're hiding in the house and they're coming out and they're like, they're still hearing these bikes. So our level 1 is where we bring them into the organization. We bring them into our family, and they literally are our little brothers and sisters.
And then what ends up happening is that they'll stand with the kids, and they actually present the kids with a very special gift of identity for them with BACA. Share a little bit about this jacket here.
Absolutely. A lot of people look at this jacket and they say, oh, they got that jacket to get to people's hearts, but unfortunately that's usually the size of the kids that we get. The youngest one that we have so far is 8 months old, and it's beyond anything. But what we do is when we bring them into the family, we want them to feel part of us. Leather vests are too expensive, so we're going with this one here. And they love it. We call them Scoties. We give them a road name. The road name is for anonymity purposes. Like I said, if Greg knew that we had his niece and he's trying to get to her and said, hey, I heard you had my niece and they say her name. I have no idea who you're talking about. We don't know their names. Only our child liaison and the primaries will know it. So we give them a road name. We know them by that road name. And that just keeps them safe. The one to the left of it is I will not live in fear. The one down the bottom, no child deserves to live in fear. There's another patch that we have that Brooklyn has on, and it's, what is it?
Surgeon General has determined that it's hazardous to mess with a BACA child.
The kids like that one. The most important one is the one on the back, and it says I'm in the family, and they are in the family. No matter where they go, if they move to another state, that state picks them up. If they go on vacation, we get in touch with the state president there that gets in touch with chapters that's closer to that child to go visit them. We give them little tattoos, because a biker's not complete without a tattoo, as my husband says.
Not a real tattoo.
No, it's washable, guys. But we give them, do-rags, headbands, bracelets, pencils, so that they have something to, if they're doing their homework like they're supposed to, they got a pencil that has it on there.
And in addition, they get one of these blankets, which has a great story behind it.
These blankets, they're really cool blankets. They're nice and soft and warm. And we tell these kids that when they get that they can put it, on their bed. They can wrap themselves up while they're watching TV, and we're always surrounding them. They can put it in the window, so if the sun or the light shines through it, it looks like the bat signal, and then we'll come running. But one of the most important things that we do before we give it to the child, Brooklyn's going to show you what we call our biker fold. And our president will tell the kids they can fold all their clothes that way. The parents are like, what? Wait a minute. But before we give it to them, what Brooklyn is doing right now is she is filling it up with love. And that's what we tell the child, that we're filling it up with love, and it'll be passed around to all the members and the cleared supporters. And when we give it to the child, we always let them know it's really, really heavy. It's got lots of love in it, and they're looking at you like, yeah, right. And then we tell them that if it falls out of love, if you feel like that it needs to be filled up again, just give us a call. And we got one little man that does it all the time. He's like, my blanket's getting empty, So, we'll, it's absolutely adorable, and we've got one little man that won't even let his mother wash it because she washed his shirt, and she washed the color out of it, and you're not washing my blanket, I don't want you to wash the love out of it, is what he said. And he's 7 years old, and we told him we'd fill it back up, and he's like, no, I like the original love. And we said we really don't know what it smells like right now, but it's okay.
Wait till he's 17, it'll smell bad.
That's right, that's right. And then I want another blanket.
One thing we did this week is we launched a question on our Facebook page. A lot of you guys are on there, facebook.com/theplaceaz. It's a great way to get connected. And we launched, anyone could ask questions for BACA today. And one of the questions that came in was from Shelley. And Shelley asked this question here. She said, I'm curious if they have ever had to come face-to-face with the abuser or the abuser's family. Most of the time, the abuser is a family member, and the abuser doesn't always stay in jail and gets a slap on the hand and released. If so, how do they contain themselves? I personally would have a problem containing myself. I think it would take a lot of praying for sure.
A lot. Yes, we do eventually meet the family of the person that hurt them or them themselves because they're in court. What we have to understand is that it is not about us, okay? It's not about me, it's not about you, it is about that child. We have to take ourselves out of who we really are as a parent, as a human being, as a biker, to want to take care of business when somebody hurts a child. And we have to focus on what that child needs. They need us to be strong. They need us to be there. They need us to show up. If we come in being all bad or whatever it is, then the child sees anger again. They see, abuse, and we're not focused on them anymore. It's hard sometimes because as a human being, regardless of whether you're a biker or not, but as a human being, knowing a child's been abused the way they've been abused, you want to take care of business, but that's not what we do. And that child gets a sense of that, and they go, you really are for me. And they know that, and that's the best part. It's empowerment. They sit up, and they're able to read their impact statement and talk about what they've been through so they don't have to carry it the rest of their life.
And we've been talking about that word today. We've been talking about this word empowerment and what that looks like for the kids. And one of the scariest moments for a kid is the courtroom. It's definitely, you can imagine what it would be like for you, but imagine a kid having to come in, relive some of the things that they've gone through, and have to testify. And one of the things BACA does is they really stand with them in that process. You want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's pretty neat. It's almost like, the kids get a sense like the president or the princess or something like that. We actually go to their house and we escort them to court. We have motorcycles in front of them, behind them, and alongside them, wherever it's possible on the highway. But the kids, people ask, why do we do that? There's a lot of people that like us, but there's a lot of people that don't like us because we're putting those people away. We're helping. We're not putting them away. We're helping the child to read their statement to help put them away. Okay, I want to make that correction. We'd put them away and never mind, we'll go somewhere else. But we escort them to court because if somebody tries to ram the car, if somebody tries to shoot at the car, you're going to hit us first. We put our life on the line for them because we want them to get to court. We want them to have their day in court. This is their day. When we get there, we surround them. We have a big circle. A lot of people just kind of move out of the way. They don't realize there's a kid in the middle. They think, oh my God, the bikers are in trouble again. Who is it? We just laugh. We move on. When we get into the courtroom, we put a wall up. We have our court liaison, Grumpy, and so he puts a wall up. So our backs are facing the family and stuff like that, so the child can walk in and not have to face it. And they sit kind of in the middle of all of us, and we take up the whole place. And we will stay there forever long it takes for that child to be able to get what they deserve. They deserve to be heard.
And when that child is up there able to look and see that they have the support, that people are with them, and then they'll get up and they'll testify, and then they'll leave, and they'll be surrounded on the way out too, right?
Oh yeah, we've had some high-profile cases that the media is out there waiting for the kid to come out, but they don't see the kid. Again, they just see a bunch of bikers. They don't even think about it. They're still looking for the kid, and we've already got them at the car and headed home with them. So, and the kids like that. There's times that our level ones, we give them rides on the motorcycle if they choose to. It's their day. And sometimes they're afraid to get on the bike, but when they're coming back, they're leaning back with their fingers up like, hey, and let me tell you, that's when the sunglasses come down, because you're getting that tear in the eye and you're looking at it, and empowerment, again, within 45 minutes of being there.
And so we've been able to hear some of the stories of the kids, but also, there's this other side of this process that goes into becoming a member of BACA. And BACA is very, very choosy. There's a stringent process that has to go through in order to become part of this organization. Can you share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. We are Bikers Against Child Abuse. A lot of people say, well, I don't have a bike, what can I do? And, we'll discuss that, because we call cars cages. So CA, I won't say it.
Kaka.
Okay? That's not who we are. We are BACA. What you do is you come to 2 consecutive meetings. On the 3rd meeting, you get your fingerprints done. Doesn't matter if you have fingerprints from your business or work or something like that. You don't have BACAs. Those businesses might go back 10 years, 20 years. We go all the way back. So if you were 17 and you hurt a child, you will not be a part of our organization. If you have a DUI and a child who was in a car, you will not be a part of our organization. People say, come on, bikers have passed. Yes, we do. Some have more than others, Some have been in prison for 18 years, but they never did anything that hurt a child. We need somebody to have a little edge on them to be a part of this organization. Then after they're waiting for their fingerprints to come in and stuff, we do a real stringent teaching. We have about 14 to 16 months before you even considered for a patch, and it has to be unanimous. Some people have taken longer. It's okay, because this organization does something to you. It changes you. So we want to make sure that you're right for this organization. Once you get that patch, you're going to be a primary for a child. You'll be assigned to a child, 2 members to the child. One thing I want to say is that if there's 5 kids in the family and only 1 child's been abused, we take them all in. We take them all in. How would that child feel, that oh, I didn't get abused and I'm not getting nothing, and they might go out and do something silly, or whatever. But no, we recognize all of them. They're a part of the family.
And this organization was actually started in 1995 in Provo, Utah, and they're currently in 39 states, 7 countries, with 161 chapters.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that goes up and down.
Yeah. And in our state, there's currently 2. You want to talk a little bit about the chapters that are right here in Arizona?
Absolutely. We have our Maricopa County chapter, and we also have a chapter down in Tucson, our Pima chapter down there. Pipes, you've seen in the video. Right now we've got Mo Money and Tree, but he was one of the main people on there. Pipe started the Maricopa chapter quite a few years back, and then he left to Florida to help form stuff. And thank God he came back, because the things were just not going right. And we cleaned it out. We went from like 33 people down to 6. And now we built it back up. We got 37 patch, and God knows how many cleared supporters, as well as people waiting to be cleared. And we built it up. And then he fell in love with one of the Tucson sisters. So he went down there, Harmony, and he's building that chapter up. He is a brother with a huge heart, and he's very tough, and he just wants people to understand what this organization is about.
And if you were here and you'd like, hey, I want to learn a little bit more, you can learn more today. Just they're going to be back at the back. You can go back there and ask them. But maybe you're here and you don't drive a motorcycle, but you hear what's taking place, and you want to help. You want to learn how you can get involved too. There are ways that you could get involved.
Oh, there's many ways. We need the public to understand that we're a tool, but we need you guys. Our jackets, for one, if you go into Goodwill or something, you see anything in there, please, if you don't mind, if you can do it, pick some up. We desperately need boys and men's. Some of our 14-year-old boys are big guys, and we do not ever want to go to a child's house and not have one for them. How would that make that child feel? So girls, they change all the time, so we can get a lot of those, even though we still need them. But the boys are the hardest ones to get. So, and then monetary donations. We pay for therapy. Therapy doesn't just mean a therapist, but what if, karate lessons may empower a child? What if dance lessons, equestrian therapy? And we also put on a huge Christmas party for them. We take them to a place that they can play laser tag, they can play video games, they can go bowling. We have pizza and cupcakes and gifts and a biker Santa, And then we have a swim party. We rent out a big, huge swim park for them that's usually at the high schools and stuff. And let them have fun, let them be kids. And then what we've been noticing is these kids are bonding with each other. Like, my God, you were hurt too? And they tell each other their stories, and they're empowering each other. And what they're doing now is you know what? I went to court with BACA. They helped me. You know what? I want to go to court with you. This child went through their hell and now is willing to take a step back and pay it forward and go with another child just so they can say, see, you're going to make it through this. That's empowerment, man.
That's empowerment. That's what it's all about. And as we've been talking, we've been really trying to figure out, okay, as a church, how can we partner with BACA? What can we do to help them? And Nytro was telling me about the jackets, the jean jackets, and I thought, man, that would be a real practical thing for us as a church to do. And so what we're going to do for the month of October, we're going to be collecting jean jackets here, specifically for BACA. Now, these jean jackets, they don't have to be new, do they?
No, you know how boys are really. They want to look tough. So if it's brand new, it doesn't look tough enough. So
sometimes the rougher the better, you know?
Right.
And so we want to encourage you guys as a church to go on out there. Maybe you're, at Salvation Army, you're at Goodwill, you see some jean jackets, pick them up. Maybe get on eBay, you can purchase some. Maybe you see some that are out when you're shopping, you can go ahead and get those. And then what they do with the jean jackets is they actually cut off the sleeves.
Correct.
And they patch them up for the kids, and they'll actually give them to the kids. And so we set a goal as a church this month. We would like to collect 50 jackets. You guys think we can do that? Absolutely. Maybe you're here and you're not a shopper, but you say, you know what, I want to give to that. You can do that too. And so you can give here to the church, BACA jackets. You can write that right there. And we'll make sure that money goes to help purchase jackets to help BACA. We think it's a great way for us to give back as a church to an organization that's standing in the gap. I know your guys' hearts, and I knew that if you had the opportunity, you would be there to rescue these kids. But you don't have that opportunity right now, but we can help an organization that is. For others of you, you may be motivated in this moment to say, you know what, I want to take that next step. I want to help a kid. I want to encourage you to begin going down that path to figure out what that looks like, and you can learn more today back at the Information Center. But as we bring it to a close, I wanted to leave the last word for Nytro, and I just want her to sort of share her last words for you guys as a congregation.
Well, I'll tell you what, with the first two sessions in this, I have been I've had my hair up on my arms. It's been a while since I've been in a church, and I know God's here with me, so. And I absolutely love it. But keep an open mind, people. We have our pamphlets back there that have our website on it. Go on there. You can click on all the states that we have chapters in them. How many chapters they have. Texas has 27 chapters. California's got 13, and we're working on 2 more going on here, so we're keeping our fingers crossed. But keep an open mind. Like I said, I'm a mom and business owner, and so aren't my brothers and sisters, from all walks of life. When you see us going down the road, know that we are going to a child, that we're coming back from a child, or we're on a mission like this. One of the guys asked back there, how do we get these kids? Most important is we get them from our prosecutors, we get them from moms, we get them from CPS now, we get them child help, anybody. We even had kids that read that article, showed their parents and called us. So once we find it's a legitimate case, then we're definitely in. Brooklyn has one of our shirts. We do exchange for a donation. We have an event coming up October 11th. It is free. So please come on down and join us. We have things like this. This is No Child Deserves to Live in Fear. And on the back of it, it says some of his angels have wings, others have motorcycles. So it's one of our favorite shirts. It sells a lot, But one thing I want to read towards the end here is part of our creed. It's the last part of it. And it says, I won't give up, shut up, let up, until I have stayed up, stored up, prayed up, paid up, and showed up for all wounded children. I must go until I drop, ride until I give out, and work until he stops me. And when he comes for his own, he will have no problem recognizing me, for he will see my BACA back patch and know that I am one of his. I am a member of Bikers Against Child Abuse, and this is my creed.
Excellent. Did you guys enjoy that? That was good stuff right there. But I want to encourage you, let this just be your first step. Let this just beginning to learn about this. Maybe you know someone that may be interested. Who knows? Maybe there's going to be a Wickenburg chapter of BACA up in here, huh? Who knows? And but more than anything, I want to encourage you guys, will you guys pray for these individuals that are putting their lives on the line? To say, I will stand before this child, I will be that barrier from someone shooting or running into this child. That is a serious commitment. That's the commitment that this organization takes. So we want to cover them in prayer. We want to believe for God's best for them. In fact, before we even get to our offering, will you guys just bow your heads with me as we pray for BACA right now? God, I thank you so much for this organization. I ask, Lord God, for your blessing to be upon them. I ask you, Lord God, that you lead them and guide them all the steps of their lives. I pray, Father, for membership, Lord, to increase of people that are following after you and are putting you first. I pray, Lord God, that they have all the finances they need, that they have all the wisdom they need, that they have all the strength they need to do the work that you've called them to.